Module 2. In order to smash through your limitations and achieve your goals, you need positive, empowering beliefs, mindset, mood, and state to set your path in the right mental direction. Your only limitation is the one which you set up in your own mind. We don't experience life, we experience what we focus on. So, does that mean that you could find joy no matter what happens? 80% of success is your psychology and 20% is strategy, which means that if you arrive at building your future mentally limited, crabby, and dispassionate in a negative state, you might possibly accomplish something, but you're not going to have any fun doing it, and you're certainly accomplishing less than your full potential. When the road gets bumpy, as it will, if you don't maintain your mental state, it's easy to feel like you are lost. In a crappy mental state, you might find yourself procrastinating, worrying excessively about things, and even snapping at loved ones over insignificant matters. The road becomes rocky, and getting out of bed becomes an uphill battle, and your momentum is lost. But 80% of your success is your psychology and 20% is strategy. So when you exude energy and positivity, life seems easy. Decisions are made quickly. We know exactly where we're going and are in a more loving and giving state. Anything is possible or figure outable. Your mindset will determine your success. So let's arm you with the tools necessary to make sure that you can spot the things that will derail you. Take out module 2, worksheet 1, my limits. Everyone has limits, right? What's currently preventing you from achieving your goals? In the first column, I want you to write down all the physical things that stands between you and your future. Every physical circumstance that you believe limits your success. In the second column, I want you to write down every thought that stands between you and your future. Every word you think about yourself that limits your success. And in the third column, I want you to write down the things that you focus on instead of moving yourself toward your goals, all of the distractions in your environment. These are all things that are currently stopping you from being healthy, outrageously successful, wealthy, and feeling unlimited. Here are some examples. Physical limitations. I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm not pretty enough. I live in the wrong place. Thought limitations. It's too hard to change. It'll take too long. I'm not smart enough. I'm not the expert. I'm stupid. Focus limitations. My family and friends and loved ones' problems, work stress, social media, the drama of others. Pause the video and fill out your form. The first step to smashing through your limitations is to know what story you're telling yourself and how it makes you feel. Get so in tune with where you are now so that you can recognize when these old limiting thoughts and beliefs creep back in so that you can obliterate them. These beliefs that you're carrying around in your head, these things that you're telling yourself about yourself, will keep you chained to where you are now. Did you know that your brain doesn't distinguish between whether you're facing a stressful, limiting situation right now or imagining it happen? Your brain produces the same stress hormones, whether it's real or imagined. When the story you're telling yourself about your current circumstances is negative, you feel limited, stressed, and sad. Whether the situation is real or not, your brain processes the information the same. What's the difference between these two scenarios? Choice. You know your choice is a mental state that affects you and those people around you. Have you ever been around someone who was in a bad mood and they started criticizing everything that you were doing and complaining about how this or that was never going to work? You know deep down that it's them and not you. But the more time that you spent around them, the more their bad mood spreads. And the next thing you know that you are now also in a bad mood because negativity is catching. Likewise, have you ever been hesitant or reluctant to do something with friends? But when you arrived, they were welcoming and fun and laughing. And before you knew it, you were having a really good time. And afterwards, you were really happy that you went. What's the difference between those two scenarios? Your choice. You choose how you arrive each day in every situation. You choose how you're going to show up. You chose in the first scenario to stay around someone who was in a negative state, and then you chose to adopt the same state that they were in. Likewise, in the second scenario, you chose to go and hang out with friends, even though you weren't quite sure that you wanted to go to begin with. You chose to engage with them and have fun. In both scenarios, at the end of the day, the common denominator is you and how you chose to show up. I know, you're probably going to say, but the other people affected whether or not you had a good time and whether or not you became negative, right? Let's talk about how outside forces affect you for a second. Have you ever noticed that when things aren't going right, we look for anything convenient to blame? We blame others, we blame circumstances, we even blame ourselves. Blame is negative, limiting belief pattern that keeps people stuck. You look for other people to blame. You start blaming yourself and you start blaming things around you. Blaming some outside force for how you choose to show up is just passing the responsibility and letting yourself off the hook. While it might make you feel good in the moment, how much do you think it's going to help you make progress in your future? Here's an example. I stepped up and took leadership positions. But every time anything happened, I allowed my belief in my leadership capabilities to diminish. For quite a few years, I let everything that happened that was even slightly inconveniencing be the end of the world. I lived in a limited mental state with thoughts like, I've come so far from that day 12 years ago. Why am I not reaping the benefits of the fabulous life? The smallest thing made me angry. I was super critical. I passed blame on others. I passed blame on myself and circumstances. And frankly, even I got tired of being around myself. I would catch myself arriving to work in a crappy mood, and mood snowballs. Then everyone around me was either ducking for cover or they were feeding off my negativity. And then they started bringing in their own baggage to work because I was modeling bad behavior. Everything came to a crescendo right before the pandemic hit. I was in a very limiting mindset. I felt stressed, projects were not running efficiently, and my staff were constantly at odds with each other and even the clients. And frankly, I just wanted out. Now, here's where fight or flight kicks in. Deep in my heart, I understood my why, even if I didn't know how to articulate it at that point. And more than anything, I understood that if my life was going to be as amazing as I wanted it to be, that I was going to have to do something about it. I chose fight, and I'm hoping you do too. What do I mean by fight? I don't want you to think that you should stay in a crappy situation if it doesn't match your why. Showing up daily in a positive state, life can either be hard or it can be harder. How you show up every day is a choice that you have complete control over. That's what I want you to fight for: change and progress. There are 3 key areas that make up your mindset. The first key, your thoughts. Where you are putting your attention bleeds into your thoughts, and the words you use describe what you tell yourself and others about your life. What do I mean? All of those limits that you just wrote down, those are thoughts, and your thoughts become limits. Blame is a thought. How are you feeling about your future? What are the thoughts that are coming to your mind when you think about your vision? Overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid that your vision is too big and that you won't measure up to the task? Maybe you're feeling enthusiastic, hopeful, or optimistic about the vision that you created. What if all those amazing possibilities that you dream of now are completely possible? How are you going to feel about it tomorrow or even an hour after you complete this course? Words and thoughts hold powerful weight in your mind. If you can't live a life unlimited in your mind, how do you think you're going to show up in person? The second key is how you physically show up in your life and in situations also affects your mindset. Thoughts connect directly to your physical state. When you're depressed, your body draws in on itself and you become closed off, and you can feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. But when you're in a positive state and your thoughts are positive, you feel invincible. Did you know that movement of any kind changes your state? If you feel lethargic, take note of your posture. Sitting up straight with your shoulders back improves your state. Smiling, even when you don't feel like it, improves your mood. Recent studies indicate that smiling more often rewires your brain to create more positive patterns. So here's what I want you to do. Let's test the theory. It has been proven that standing in the superhero pose for as little as 2 minutes changes your testosterone and cortisol levels, increases your belief in power, causes us to perform better, and helps our brain cope with stress better. So, what I want you to do is stand up right now, and I want you to assume the pose. And while you're standing there, I want you to repeat this mantra for the next 2 minutes. I am the author of my destiny and the captain of my ship. I chart my course to the future and live the life I have always dreamed. The third key is your focus. I'm pretty sure that quite a few of us might have a touch of attention deficit disorder, or maybe it's just procrastination tactics when we're afraid that what we're starting to do isn't going to turn out perfect. Either way, have you ever found yourself getting ready to sit down and do something important, and you come up with 6 other distracting things to do before you can get started? These are physical focus distractions. Like sitting down to craft this training, I suddenly had to clean out the closet in the spare bedroom. Or before I sat down at my desk, I had to make a coffee, let the dog out. Oh, and I needed to make a grocery list and call my sister. You get where I'm going. Or maybe in the process of sitting down to start something vitally important on your vision plan, you start looking at all of the other ways that things could go wrong. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough resources, don't have the right education, I'm too old, you're too you. Your thoughts have frequency, and we've learned thoughts produce chemicals in your brain. So if you keep thinking thoughts of limitation for your life, time, money, energy, etc., that leads to more feelings of unhappiness, guilt, and anger and frustration. You're essentially living in survival mode. You want to be able to live your life on your terms, don't you? These limiting beliefs prevent you from being successful. These are mental distractions. Let's talk about the other mother of all procrastinated distractions, and that is all the digital media that we consume all day long. And I'll tell you that I am as guilty as everyone else in spending way too much screen time on nonsensical scrolling through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else. And I understand as much as the next person, especially if you're running a business, how essential your social media is as a tool for marketing. But let's be honest, if your focus all day is consuming and not producing, how far do you think you're going to get towards achieving your goals? And much of social media is very negative. And remember, you are who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with negative people, you're likely to start adopting their negative limiting beliefs. So spend a little time really looking at where your focus is, who you're listening to, and what you're consuming. I have worked with a lot of parents over the years, and I commend parents for all that they juggle every day. I do not know how my own mother had a full-time career, managed poor health, and raised 3 kids all at the same time. I think it's important that we're mindful of the amount of time that's needed to accomplish the things that we envision for our future. Set boundaries for yourself. You do a disservice to your family when you're not present when you're with them. And you do a disservice to your future when you're distracted with all the things that you need to do as a parent while you need to be working on accomplishing the steps that need to create that future. A balance can be achieved with good planning. So if your experience in life is what you focus on, and our focus can either be on limitations or future abundance, where do you fall on that spectrum right now? I would really like to challenge you today to focus your energy and your thoughts on the area that you want to expand and grow, not on the problems that prevent you from getting wherever it is that you want in life. If we place our focus on goals rather than on the limitations, you'll actually be able to achieve more. Let's do a focus exercise and look at limiting language that you're currently telling yourself. Take out worksheet number 2. We're going to turn our limiting language upside down. On the left-hand side of the page, I want you to write out all of the thought patterns that are holding you back. Just pick the big ones. Here are some examples. You can use all of the things from the previous exercise, my limits. It's too hard. It'll take too long. No one will ever give me the opportunity. I had a crappy childhood. These are all negative mindset. And I'm here to tell you that that's all bullshit, and you know it. So on the right-hand side, I want you to list out brand new, unlimited version of your new truth. Here are some examples. Instead of it's too hard, everything is figure outable. Instead of it'll take too long, I have all the time I need to achieve success. Instead of no one will ever give me the opportunity, I create my own opportunities. And instead of I had a crappy childhood where we're passing blame on the past, my childhood does not define me. Each and every time you start to slide into doubt about your future, give yourself a swift kick in the ass and change your thoughts, your focus, and your physiology. Now, we're going to redo that my limited life, and we're going to make our life limitless. Pull out handout number 3. Or what does someone who has all the things that you want, what does their life look like? Let's reframe what we wrote earlier when we wrote out all of our limiting beliefs, and now look at them from a more positive direction. What would your limitless life look like going forward? Or what does someone who has all of the things that you want, what does their life look like? How can you show up physically daily? Somebody who's living a limitless life is taking time to take care of themselves. They're always positive and smiling a lot. They feel vital. They're dependable and fun to be around and confident, decisive, and they're comfortable in their own skin and surroundings. What positive power thoughts and language would they use? They're positive, invincible, caring, considerate. Everything is figure outable. All the time they need. They are confident. They know that they are the experts. They're not living in the past, and they understand that they have unique talents that can contribute to others, and they're successful without compromising. What kind of things would they be focused on? Finding solutions, learning from other mentors, creating opportunities, gratitude for all that they have, where they came from, and most importantly, what's coming in the future, building something lasting. How does it make you feel to think about accomplishing all of the same things? More optimistic about your future and your ability to achieve it? Mindfulness shouldn't come at a cost. It's really as simple as the story you're telling yourself and how you're showing up today. You have the potential. All you need to do is take some action. You'll see some results, and as long as you have certainty and belief in yourself. As you start this process and things get moving in your life, guard your thoughts like they were goldfish in a sea of sharks. Your positive thoughts and your positive mindset might make the people around you uncomfortable. And you know what? Ego is a powerful soul crusher. We all have that well-meaning friend or family member who is likely going to try to talk you out of your progress or say something hurtful that could derail you. Every time something happens that makes you feel like you're being sucked backwards, go stand in your superhero pose and know you're amazing and you got this. We spent an entire first module laying out your vision for the future, finding your why, so you know what and how to maintain a positive mindset. Now that you know who you don't want to be and how that makes you feel, and you know what the person you do want to be looks like and how that's going to make you feel, you will begin to see evidence even in ways you least expect when you guard your mindset. The universe only gives you what you believe that you're worthy of receiving. Now we're going to plan out all the steps that are necessary to make your vision a success.